Alrighty, folks, welcome back to Salt City Counseling. Once again, my name's Scott Carter, and I'm a therapist here in the hot, smoky state of Utah. Air quality is so bad right now. It's one thing I dislike about Utah, man, is the air quality is awful. I've talked about this before. The last few summers, we've just had the smoke from wildfires out west parked right over us, and it's too hot, it's too smoky. So here we are, second winter. It is what it is. So in this video, I'm going to continue my Healing Narcissistic Trauma series. I know I missed a video last week. If you're new here, I do this series on healing narcissistic trauma. Really, these skills are very applicable to whether or not you've had, I believe anyways, whether or not you've had someone in your life who is narcissistic and has kind of enacted sort of this like narcissistic style abuse. Really what that looks like. And I did a video on it a few months ago. Maybe go back and look for it. But really, I'll break it down a little bit. Really what this looks like is where, like, the breakdown of your character, the severe doubt in yourself, the constantly fear of doing the wrong thing. Right? We've all heard of FOMO, right? Fear of missing out, fear of doing the wrong thing. I'm going to make my own clever acronym. But fear of doing the wrong thing, like mortified, terrified of doing the wrong thing. And unfortunately, our culture, too, has kind of become a little bit narcissistic in nature. So many people like not tolerating other people's mistakes. You are supposed to do exactly as other people think you should exactly all the time. That's why I stay off social media. It's so toxic that way. But in this video, I'm going to talk about like the importance of recognizing the thoughts when they come in and not engaging in those thoughts. There's some mental mastery going on here. Frankly, my friends, the truth is, if you want to get around this bend, if you want to put this behind you, the key really is like mental mastery, emotional mastery, mental mastery, and learning to master your thoughts, learning to master your emotions. Best way to do that, honestly, I know I talk about this every week, meditation. Meditation has done so much for me. As an individual, I'm a completely different person now than I am when I started seriously meditating more than 18 months ago, and it has completely changed me as a person. It's completely changed me as a human being. Oh, almost 18 months. Anyway, so in this video, I'm going to talk about. I'm going to use a metaphor. I call it the tower and the radio, and I kind of pulled this metaphor from a book that I have been reading. I read a lot of weird esoteric books. There's a lot of compelling information out there, a lot of compelling ideas. I like exploring ideas. What can I say? I like exploring different types of thought, different schools of thought, and, just to see what it has to offer. Just try it on for size and see if it works. So I'm going to talk about the transmitter tower and the radio. But first, let me get my housekeeping out of the way. If you're new here, I hope that you will subscribe. So hit the subscribe button, like, share, you know what to do. Help me out. If you are dealing with high conflict, divorce, or custody, you can go check out my website for some courses, highconflictcommunity.com. The link is in the description below. I'm going to be lowering the prices on those courses. I know people need that information, and so I'm going to be lowering the price on those courses for a while. I'm going to have a sale. Maybe a Black Friday sale when it's not even Black Friday. So stay tuned for that. If you have a viewer question, man, you can leave it in the comment section below. Email me directly, scottc@saltcitycounseling.com. I have recently gone fully self-employed, and so I am for hire. If you need some consultation, you need some personal coaching, you need coaching for your high conflict, divorce, or custody, you can send me an email, scottc@saltcitycounseling.com. According to the rules, I cannot provide psychotherapy across state lines. Please do not ask me if I take your insurance. The answer is no. Please also do not ask me if I know a good therapist in Savannah, Georgia, or wherever you're from. No, sorry, I don't. I don't even know that many good therapists around here. At least ones that have availability. All the really good ones that I know are pretty full, but if you need some of that, you can email me. And so don't forget to hit the tip jar if you like my content. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. All those links are also in the description below, okay? So let's talk about the tower and the radio, okay? Now, this is built on the concept that basically, right, like even right now as I'm sitting here, there are radio waves passing in and out, right? Probably thousands of them. all kinds of electromagnetic radiation of all kinds. There's Wi-Fi signals, there's cell phone signals, there's radio signals, there's all kinds, right? But I have no idea that those radio signals exist or what's happening on those radio signals, what those radio signals are communicating without a radio. Okay, without a radio, they don't exist, right? Because I can't perceive them. The only way I can perceive those radio signals is with a radio. Now, the idea here is that your mind can work in a similar way, right? These thoughts come flying in, and the only way that they really can have an effect on you is if you have that radio turned on and you're receiving them. So the idea here is that people who have had this type of trauma, and I see this with people across the board these days, I really do. People who have had this type of trauma and across the board, when it comes to overthinking, we just get bombarded with thoughts, hundreds, even thousands of thoughts all the time, day in, day out, thoughts. And when you engage in those thoughts, that's when they take hold, and that's when you're off to the races, right? And so, especially if you've had a narcissistic parent or a borderline parent or a narcissistic partner, borderline partner, there's this hypervigilance that comes on with it. No matter what you do, like, what are you drinking? And you're like, nothing, right? Just find the craziest things to get angry at people about. But day in and day out, people that have this type of trauma or been through this sort of abuse, like, I've noticed that they almost can't do anything without worrying about doing the wrong thing, right? And so they're scared, and those thoughts come in. Why did you do this, or why didn't you do that, right? And then mentally, you're getting in the habit of defending and explaining yourself. You feel defensive, you feel worried, you feel scared, and you feel depleted, right? So the trick is to notice because the radio tower is broadcasting those signals, okay? And the radio has to be turned on and receiving them. The trick is that you cannot necessarily control those thoughts, that like the radio tower coming in. However, you can learn to control the radio part, the receiver part, the part that engages with those. And what I have found is that when you click off the receiver part, when you're no longer acting as the radio, so to speak, then those thoughts just start to dissipate. They start to disappear. You lose them over time. And if you do it well enough and you do it long enough and you persist with it, it just kind of go away entirely. It's a very, very strange thing. So again, the trick is to turn off the radio. Learn to turn off the radio, okay? Now, I'll walk you through the first steps of this right now, okay? So as you're sitting there, okay, I want you to sit up straight. Take a deep breath. I like to do in through the nose, out through the mouth, but you can do whatever you want. Just make sure you're doing some nose breathing. Don't breathe through your mouth. Read the book Breath, by the way. That guy goes into depth about the bad things that happen from mouth breathing. A great book. I can't speak highly enough about it. I digress, okay? But if you're sitting there, take a few deep breaths, okay? Notice the feeling of the breath leaving your mouth or your nose as it passes through it. Okay? And just create moments of stillness. Now, see if you can observe your thoughts. This is the most important turning point. Okay? Just notice them. Like, be a spectator. Just observe them. Just watch them. Okay? Become the observer instead of the receiver. That's really the trick. Be the observer instead of the receiver. Be the spectator instead of, right? Like if you're at a sports game, if you're watching the sports ball, if your local government will let you go watch it these days, but you just want to be able to watch the game instead of like the ball coming at you, right? And so try to think of it that way, okay? Spend time every day is learning to observe your thoughts and notice when you're engaging with them. Notice when you're clicking on the radio and you're engaging with them, you're receiving them. And it's okay if you do. It's probably a long-standing habit that you're going to need to break, and then just go back to being the observer. Do this for 5 minutes a day, and then move it up to 10 minutes a day. And that will make a difference for you, okay? That is just the act of mindfulness, noticing the thoughts and noticing your reaction to them. It's that simple to start. It's really, really that simple. And sit down and do it for 5 minutes a day. And those thoughts are going to come in and be like, don't do that for 5 minutes a day. That's stupid. The ego plays some weird tricks, man. The same book I've been reading that sort of gave me this idea about the radio tower and the radio. Just talks about the ego and some of the tricks of the ego and some of the things going on with the ego. Very, very, very compelling thing to think about and get into. So anyways, there's your healing narcissistic trauma video for the week. So learn to turn off the radio. Practice the mindfulness, practice the meditation. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe while you're here. See you next time.